this person who witnessed 110 of her closest family members and neighbors has more moral clarity and courage in this very moment when the bodies haven't been even buried yet to directly talk about this. Here is a Be'eri Kibbutz victim. Oh, this is exactly what I wanted to watch. Thank you for finding this. This is the one I watched that was very powerful. This is here is Little Rock, a 19-year-old young woman from Kibbutz Be'eri, less than 3 miles from the border with Gaza. 110 of her neighbors were slaughtered. Okay? Here.
17 מקיבוץ בארי. הדבר הכי גרוע, חוץ מלשמוע את כל השמות של המתים והנעדרים והשבויים, הדבר הכי גרוע במיידי לא היה לשכב בחושך בממ"ד, זה לא היה לשמוע את היריות, זה לא היה אפילו
It wasn't the shootings, it wasn't to receive emergency in real time from members in my kibbutz. Names I've known since I know myself, asking for help and no one arrives. The worst thing for me, except for the dead and the hostages, was the moment I stepped out of my house when we were evacuated and it was dark and I was barefoot stepping on glass and I saw the faces of my neighbors. Fear. God-awful fear. And I saw faces that I've known since I've known myself in a way that I'd never seen them before. Tears. People I grew up with. Fear. And it's also while walking around here. I just made it to the hotel in the Dead Sea. It's walking around here and seeing the members of my kibbutz trying to get up in the morning, trying to keep it together, to smile once in a while. Each of them struggling. And it's to collect myself every morning. But every morning it's an extremely hard task to collect myself. What happened to us was shocking. But there is something important that I want to say. What happened that was not new. Just worse than before. We've been abandoned for years. Iron Dome's defense system, that's a band-aid. Soldiers, they're a band-aid. A person is dying, you're bringing them a band-aid? Shame. Shame. We've been talking about it for years. They're abandoning us. That's where it comes from. It wasn't new, just worse. And it's not the only thing that's new, but just worse. In this war. Bro, what are you doing? Showing Israeli sympathy vids when Gazans are getting flattened? How about you fucking cool your goddamn jets for one moment, okay? First of all, these are people too, okay? And the violence inflicted on them is directly a cause of the violence that the Israeli state has inflicted upon Palestinian people. But you can't even fucking sit there for 3.5 seconds and listen to someone describe their own fucking conditions and how terrified they are without blowing a goddamn gasket. Calm down. I get the tensions are high. But if you think that I'm doing the same thing that the fucking mainstream media does, specifically to just act like Gazans don't exist and to only show the very real pain that people in Israel felt, you're silly. You're a silly bitch, okay? Anyway, let's continue.
בכנות קצת קשה למצוא אותן עם כל הכעס והאבל שיש בתוכי כרגע. איך אני אמורה לקום בבוקר?
How am I supposed to get up in the morning? Citizens of Israel, politicians, residents of Israel overseas. I don't care who's listening, but listen to me carefully.
איך אני אמורה לקום בבוקר?
How am I supposed to get up in the morning and know that 4.5 kilometers from Kibbutz Be'eri,
בעזה,
there in Gaza, there are people for whom this isn't over. For me, it was over after 12 hours because there was some place to take me. I'm at the Dead Sea. Those of you who want to talk about revenge, shame on you. There's tremendous pain. That's true. Me, after everything I went through, I lose so much of my strength every time I hear the word revenge. What I went through, for others to go through this, and there won't be anyone to pull them out of it, it isn't possible this way. It's no longer possible. No more band-aids. People keep on asking us, will you go back to the kibbutz afterwards? Will you go back to live there without more soldiers, more defenses? Don't say soldiers. Don't say defenses. Say a political solution. For years we've been asking for a political solution. I'm 19 years old. I have friends who died in battle these past days. When they were in kindergarten, they knew what they wanted to be in the army. Should I raise my children in this way? Shame. A shame and a disgrace. Should I ask my 5-year-old kids, tell me, cutie, what do you want to be in the army? How much? How much can one give? How much can one absorb? We, those who survived, we are a living and walking proof. And believe me, those who are listening, that it could even be worse. From my point of view, and this is the most important thing, it's been this way for years now. When we are bombarded with missiles, ultimately that stuff goes over our heads. The missiles don't go over our backs. They land quite nicely on the ground, believe me. The decision to bombard with missiles, that goes over my head. Bibi, Hamas, I don't care. What I know is that Be'eri suffers, Nahal Oz suffers, Kfar Aza, Sderot, and Gaza. Believe me that each Qassam rocket, 4.5 kilometers away from Gaza, from Be'eri to Gaza, the ground trembles the same way. That's not possible. Not possible. I know there's a lot of anger at Bibi because I feel it. I feel it very strongly in moments when I'm able to feel, because it's a bit hard to feel recently. I feel it because how many people need to die for him? For his ego, for his interests. I'm not sure if they've already said this, but missiles, especially in the last attack. Because, you know, before the terrorists arrived, I heard more missiles than I heard throughout my 19 years of life. All at once, all at once. A whole lot. We knew at once it was a war. Before the terrorists, before everything. We are always the first to know, the first to hear. You hear it from where we are. The way I see it, the missiles that strike us, it feels as though our government has fired them. Because that government has abandoned me throughout all my life. And now the worst of all has arrived. And if this wasn't, God knows what will become of us. Now it's true that Bibi this and Bibi that. Truly, I blame him 100% for everything. Okay, pack it up. She's being anti-Semitic, right? According to the fucking, according to Americans. I mean, this person who witnessed 110 of her closest family members and neighbors has more moral clarity and courage in this very moment when the bodies haven't been even fucking buried yet to directly talk about this. When Americans that are 10,000 miles away are fucking horned up with our endless bloodlust. The entire media in the United States, the media apparatus in the United States is not fucking taking a more reasonable, more tempered approach to what's going on. Okay? Think about that. Isn't he Muslim, so biased? Bro, we can read. Oh, you mean me? I'm Muslim, so I'm biased? Really? It's so strange to say this because, I mean, I criticize Saudi Arabia pretty fucking endlessly too, despite the media refusing to do so. Okay? And you do your part on this anti-Semitic take. Yes. I love when Americans living in Idaho who are white evangelical Protestants turn around and tell a fucking Jewish Israeli person living in the literal kibbutz where 110 of her closest friends and family members were slaughtered, that she is anti-Semitic. The audacity, the gall. It's just so fucking insane to me that you can think that you can do this. It is no different than a fucking German politician telling Bernie Sanders, okay, related to Holocaust survivors, like victims of the fucking Holocaust, direct family members, that he is not allowed to, as an American Jew, make criticisms of the state of Israel, that I, a German Christian, will tell you what's what. How dare you say things? How dare you demand a cessation of the violence? How dare you fucking ask to stop this endless bloodshed? The audacity of these fucking animals, okay? The audacity of these fucking animals. Those policemen in France arresting Jewish Voice for Peace activists for the crime of carrying a fucking Palestinian flag. Same in Germany. What the fuck is going on? What are we doing? We are not that far removed from the Holocaust. Like, what do you mean? Like, listen, internally, when my wonderful Jewish brothers and sisters get fucking shit on by other ultra-Zionist, ultra-nationalist, reactionary Jews that say, they call them fake Jews. You're a fake Jew. You're a fake Jew. You're a fake Jew. You're a fucking anti-Semite. You're a self-hating Jew. When they say that, that's one thing, okay? It's still unacceptable. It's fucking ridiculous, okay? But when you have people that are not even of the tribe, okay, just straight up Christians, trying to tell fucking Jewish people that they're in the wrong for asking to scale back on this fucking violence, like, your title is misinforming. No bombing happened on any evacuation road. Hamas just leveraged one bombing that happened and made it into a title. You just pass forward. Not supporting Israel here. This ain't an easy situation. No side, but this is fake news. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Just like Hamas blew up, just like Hamas is actually the ones that gave the IDF the white phosphorus to use on the hospital. Just like Hamas is actually the one that blew up the press position inside of Lebanon, that Reuters is even too afraid to fucking openly admit, even though it's on camera. You know? Yeah, the 70 killed after Israeli strikes hit 3 convoys of evacuees trying to leave northern Gaza. That was all a lie. That was actually Hamas that threw that rocket. It is so disgusting. At least figure out what kind of fucking propaganda that you are running with. Figure out where your propaganda is. Is it that those guys deserved it, or was it Hamas that blew it up, blew themselves up? Okay? What are you saying? Listen, in many other places, that kind of propaganda might work because most people don't see Palestinians as human beings that are worthy of humanity and dignity. Okay? And that is by design. It's a deliberate attempt. But this is the one fucking place where you're not going to be able to get away with that. Okay? This is the one fucking place where you can't get away with that. So why are you here? Why are you here still trying to be like, no, actually, you guys are wrong. No. They are all animals that deserve it. They are all human shields that deserve it. And Israel, on the other hand, is not humans. Like, they're just a robotic machine. They are a naturally occurring phenomena, a natural disaster, you know? And you're just getting in the way of that natural disaster in that circumstance. Like, the idea that we have to set up humanitarian corridors as Israel continues its bombing campaign is already a fucking insane one, okay? Like, there is a way out of that, which is Israel not doing the bombing campaign. And then people say, how do you explain that Arab countries don't want to take the Palestinian refugees? First of all, this also forgets whether or not the Palestinian refugees want to leave or not, okay? You cannot jump. You cannot skip a step and act like they just want to leave because a fucking hurricane is occurring in their hometown. They do not want to leave for the most part because they are afraid that they will never be able to return, as this has happened time and time again to them. Okay? It happened during the Nakba, and it happened every single time Israel went to war. It's ridiculous, dude. What a question. What a fucking question. Wow, this is really the responsibility of every other nation, just not Israel. It's never Israel's responsibility.
זה נכון. הוא בחר לתת לנו
He chose to have us live this way. He chose to give us the Iron Dome instead of a political solution. And he chose a great deal of other things as well. And our blood is on his hands. But it's not just him. He's at the root of a very deep problem, but it's not just him. If my words reach anyone, look inside very well, deep inside. Ask yourself what your values are. Ask yourself in relation to everything around you. How are your values related to what you see around? Ask yourself very, very well. Ask yourself whom you vote for, what you demand of them. I know what I'm demanding. I'm demanding for a fair peace. I demand that the Bedouin in the Negev receive the same help that my Beri received. That is incredibly important. This is another part of this conflict that I've only seen myself and maybe a few others talk about as well. The Bedouin they do not have bomb shelters. They live in Israel proper, just like she does inside of the kibbutz, and they never get help. They have never gotten help. There are Arabs that live in Israel proper that do not have access to the same amenities and same level of help that Israeli Jews get. Okay, and even then, it's to varying degrees. Even inside of the kibbutzes, even inside of the southern towns, there is a difference of how immediate that action is and how immediate that help is. Okay? This is something that people fucking forget about as well. That like the Arab Israelis that are not Jewish, that have also historically lived on this land, that have not been displaced, that are a part of the Israeli government, okay, that are supposed to be protected in the same way, are not getting help at all. 40 Bedouins died. Okay, they died in the hands of Hamas gunfire, and they died in the rocket fire that was dropped on them. Okay, they are Palestinian citizens of Israel, not Arab Israelis. Sorry. So remember that. Okay. Yeah, this is London right now. Even as the UK government threatens to crack down on pro-Palestine activists and protesters, the masses come out in support of Gaza. Do you think these people are out there because they're anti-Semitic? Or do you think they're out there because they see an injustice that they cannot look away from? An injustice that is so gross. An injustice that is being funded and facilitated by our dollars, by our money. An injustice that our leaders turn a blind eye to, and in many instances actually directly look at it and champion. Okay? It's completely unacceptable. It is completely and utterly unacceptable. And I do think that we are stuck in such awful echo chambers. Okay? We are stuck inside of such awful echo chambers, specifically in America, especially, where we do not see that. Okay? We do not see that there are real people out there who look at this violence and say, enough is enough. We have to put an end to it. Okay? I hope that I know that there are people in here right now who have a different opinion than mine, who are in here to troll, who are in here to combat the propaganda and do your bidding, because this is a digital war of information too for you, okay? If you're in here with a differing opinion, I hope that you can possibly engage in a little bit of self-criticism, okay? It is very, very important. Have some decency, reflect on your advocacy, and really think about it. Just sit back and think about it. That there are victims out there who make a better assessment of the root cause of the violence that they faced when their friends haven't even been buried yet. They are able to demonstrate the moral clarity that you cannot comprehend. Be objective about this. Okay? Be objective.
וגם אנחנו לא מספיק, כי אין אזרחים באו לעזור לנו, אזרחים.
It was citizens. The government is nowhere to be seen.
ויש לי
And I'm very grateful for having a hotel at the Dead Sea. But obviously every person here would forfeit that in exchange for our hostages being released. By the way, I've only twice heard the government make any mention of the existence of the hostages. That's the other part. They are literally purposely fucking acting like no such hostages are inside of Gaza right now because their bombs are killing those hostages. Okay? They want to say like, oh, it's Hamas. It's Hamas. It's Hamas. Yes, Hamas is the one who kidnapped them. Okay? Hamas militants are the ones who kidnapped them, thinking that they could fucking negotiate with Israel and thinking that Israel would listen and actually care for their own citizens. Because listen, Palestinians know the Israeli government doesn't treat them as humans. They know that already. But the grave mistake that they made was thinking that the Israeli government would at least care and consider for their own fucking citizens, okay, and their lives, and try to preserve the lives of Israeli citizens. And the mistake they made was that the Israeli government wants to expel Muslims from the region and Arabs and Palestinians from the region more than they want to preserve the safety and security of their own people. And that is the exact same reason as to why she is 100% correct. Okay? The Israeli government does not care about the safety and security of its own citizens. If it did, they would look for a path to peace. They hold all the power here. They care more about land grabs and endless expansion and a maintenance of an apartheid state than they do about the safety and security of their own citizens that they supposedly are tasked with defending. Ironic that the only people that helped them after the war are the Arabs. You see the Columbia academic faculty saying all the students in SJP should die? What? It's crazy how they went from releasing 1,000 prisoners for one IDF soldier to just murdering their own citizens because Hamas. Yeah. An official said today, there won't be any negotiation for the kidnapped to be released with an enemy we want to erase. That is so insane and so far from anything I believe the state believes in. It's heartbreaking. I hope that this is an eye-opening moment for Israeli citizens. I hope that this is an eye-opening moment for those who believe in Zionism being a just cause. Okay? It is very difficult to unlearn propaganda that you've been exposed to your whole life. I get it. Okay? It takes a shit ton of reflection, a shit ton of self-reflection. Okay? It does. Is Israel bombing hostages? Israel's bombing everywhere. Indiscriminately. Hamas said, we'll start killing the hostages if you keep bombing us. And then they didn't. They thought that maybe Israel will stop bombing. They never stopped. They said, oh, we'll kill hostages on camera if you keep bombing. And they were like, okay, who cares? Fuck you. And they kept bombing. Because for this government, for this current government, that's perfect for them. They're like, oh, great. Please kill the hostages on camera so that we can openly state you killed them, that we can show everyone that you killed them and further justify the endless bombing campaign that befalls upon the Palestinians. Would you consider making a Tiltify community campaign so that other streamers could raise money as well? Yes, I don't know how to do that though. Bold but accurate and relevant. The Middle East is so complicated, they said, as they scrolled past the 50th post from Palestinians explaining what was happening, refusing to internalize new information because it would force them to confront the reality that the people they trust had lied or misinformed them. Yeah. They're acting as if they don't exist, the hostages. They're bombing while they know that this bombardment will also cost their lives. Bro, there is no better, sorry, I know I keep cutting her off and she's really cooking, but there is no better representation in my mind of what the Israeli government's goals were in that immediate moment when there were still Palestinian forces inside of Israel proper, okay, that had taken over precincts, that had taken over entire towns. And the first move from the IDF and from those who are on top of the IDF, who are, moving units around, their first move wasn't to go and take control over the southern towns. It was to start bombing Gaza. When that happens, how can you sit back and think that these guys actually have any sort of care or consideration for their own citizens? They literally went into bomb Gaza button. They hit the bomb Gaza button. It's the only button they have at their disposal. Okay? How do I fucking change the... 1 second. We have a up to 10K donation matching happening right now.
החזרת שבויים. שלום. הגינות והוגנות.
Decency and fairness.
אם אין לכם
If you don't have the ears with which to hear what I just said to you,
אין תקווה.
there's no hope.
תעצרו טוב טוב, תשקלו את
Stop
המילים
right
שלי,
there.
תקשיבו.
Consider my words. They might be hard for some of you to hear.
קשות. קשה לי לדבר.
You see, it
רואים?
is
קשה לי
difficult for
לדבר.
me to speak.
אולי לחלקכם
They
המילים
might be
האלה
hard
יהיו
for
קשות
some of you to
לשמוע.
hear.
עם מה שאני
And
עברתי
after what I
בבארי,
went
אתם
through
חייבים
in
לי את זה.
Be'eri, you owe it to me.
אתם חייבים לי את
You
זה.
owe it to me.
לא בקטע של
This isn't
אשמה.
about guilt.
כולנו
We all
עוברים
go through a
הרבה.
lot.
קחו הפסקות. תטפלו בעצמכם, תשמרו על עצמכם,
Take
תשמרו
care
על
of your
המשפחות.
families, protect your families, take a
אבל אתם
break.
חייבים לי את זה.
But you owe it to
תשאלו
me.
את עצמכם למי אתם
Ask
מצביעים.
yourself who
תשאלו
you
מה
vote
אתם
for.
מבקשים ממנו.
Ask yourself what
ואל
you demand
תתפשרו.
from them.
אם
And
אתם
don't
נותנים לתקווה
compromise.
למות,
If
אתם
you
נותנים
allow hope
לתושבי
to die,
עוטף
you are
עזה
allowing the
למות.
citizens
שוב.
of Gaza to die again.
אין לי עוד מה להגיד.
That's it. 19 years old. Everyone that she knows is fucking dead. Okay? They're not even being buried yet. And she has this moral clarity and courage. And it's so sad because it is identical everywhere around the world. It is always the same. Okay? For Americans, think about it. Think about it. We look around and we see things are incredibly fucked up. Okay? Americans can only view things from the lens, from the incredibly insulated lens of being an American. If you're in this community, you're already familiar with this, but like think about how ridiculous it is that we don't have fucking healthcare, for example. And as conditions worsen, or think about how ridiculous it is that we just keep increasing our military budgets over and over again, year over year over year. Okay? And if you ask Americans, they're like, this is stupid. This is fucked up. Don't do this. But there is nothing. You can't do anything. You can't change that reality no matter what. Okay? There's no way to adequately push back against this. It's this machine. One example that I always use is the American carceral state. There are examples of more humane treatment of prisoners all around the world, right? More humane treatment of prisoners all around the world that lead to better outcomes overall. Better outcomes overall. You look at Norway, you look at America, okay? Two countries going in the exact opposite direction. And as conditions worsen and as crime becomes a bigger problem, we constantly say, oh, it's just we don't have enough prisoners in this country. We haven't locked enough people up. You can't keep doing the same things over and over again and expect different results. You just can't do that. And yet we do. It's insanity. We keep doing the same shit over and over again and expect a different result somehow. Yes, I saw Mark Lamont Hill grilled the Israeli official on camera. Does boycotting McDonald's in Arabic countries actually does something? No, I that was a joke. I posted the McDonald's thing as a joke to like, you know,